because I think I'm adding the high interval training and some curls and stuff like that, and the push-ups, and it's very unpleasant in the evening when you haven't eaten in 4 hours. Um, I think that that is helping me lose the weight faster. So I'm here with Lishi, and today we're discussing exercising for weight loss with friends who love to give each other the business. The reason why I'm doing this is for my to clean out my liver. Hopefully, it'll start eating some of its own fat. The stupid liver.
So
I'm
for
hoping.
our viewers,
Yes.
both of you,
Yes.
exercise does not contribute in any meaningful sense to weight loss.
Does not.
There's been studies that absolutely prove it. Most of the experts in that field will tell you it's imperative for health, like cleaning out your liver and blood sugar function, but it does little to nothing. No, it does nothing for weight loss. And I don't think it's controversial, but the exercise industry makes a lot of money selling you the shaker and the this thing
Ugh.
and the that thing. It has nothing to do with weight loss. I
Well,
heard a male stripper, a friend of a friend, told him, he's a fat guy like me, told him abs are made in the kitchen. So everything that you're doing is great, and it's something that I'm missing. High interval hit training is something that I've heard is crucial to what you're talking about, the liver thing and the other thing.
I think it's very
And
helping.
I haven't, I do push-ups and I do squats in the morning and I try to get 10,000 steps, and they're just like, that's just not it. It's not the type of exercise that's going to have a meaningful improvement in my health. But as far as exercise and weight loss, it's a misnomer.
Well, if you are doing the push-ups and every time you try to do one more, even though it hurts, it's good for maintaining, because the one of the problems with dieting, especially if you're losing like 20 pounds a month in my case, or you lost 100 pounds, you you will have lost muscle. It's just pretty much a guarantee, because muscle is nutritious and your body's going to go after that before it touches the fat, because your muscle is terrible. I mean, your body's terrible. So I think doing something, I'm not saying to maintain your muscle, because you're not going to outdo your body. Your body's going to eat it. But but
Body's crazy complex.
I know there's so many, because I mean it's a game of hormones, man, and it's very complicated. Everyone's like, it's super easy. It's not super easy, and it's also very focused. I think if you have a trainer, or if you have a not a trainer, like a nutritionist you yourself that knows you, that's way better to listen to than 50 people on the internet, because that person knows you and your specific problems and your specific, not just goals, but like where you're coming from, in a kind of a fat loss sense. Because if where I was with the high insulin and the fatty liver and all that other stuff, I think intermittent fasting was what I had to do. I mean, I'm not 100% sure that it's fixing my liver in the slightest, because I haven't been, because I called the doctor. I said, hey, can I come in and, test my liver numbers and all that stuff? And he was like, yeah, do whatever you want. He wasn't very excited, but I'm going to give it a month or two and then go in and do the numbers and see if anything's getting better, because your liver does regenerate, unless it's gone
And so does the
beyond.
pancreas.
Yeah, unless it's gone beyond the point of no return, and that's usually takes 10 years of fatty liver. But and this was the
Well,
first
let's
year.
not talk about edge cases.
Well, no, I'm just talking about where I would have led to had I continued the way I was going. And that's not really an edge case. That it would have happened. Like if I was still eating Jets pizzas and, oh, delicious, and doing things I was doing in 10 years, that's what would happen. Your liver scars itself, and it becomes like a heavy drinker, right? You need a new liver, and you got to get on a liver waiting list. It's not a joke. It's like to I have to deal with it. But I just, being disabled, I don't want one more thing. I don't want one more bad, horrible thing that I have to deal with it. And that's another reason why I started this. But I'm doing it. I'm doing it for a reason that isn't like so that I can look pretty. It's so that I can not have one more horrible thing that I have to deal with medically, and that
So
my
for
hips
me,
won't snap off.
I'm 61. My
Okay.
dad died at 68, my mom at 78. So I have it feels like I have a finite amount of time left, and it doesn't seem like that much,
Mm.
right? Like I'm past 2/3 of the way to the end. And I want the time that I do have to be enjoyable inside of, I want to feel good. I want my body to feel better than it did at 300 pounds. I
Mm.
want to, so I may not be able to, change to high interval training right away, so I may not be perfect at this exercise thing, but I do appreciate that it's vital. And you know what, I remember you and I used to go like to 24-hour
Yeah.
fitness, like, that was fun. And that was the
But
only
then,
time I like to do stuff like that, is when you got a buddy. You go and do shit together.
yeah,
It's really imperative.
buddy training, and I miss not having it here. Like working out with somebody is really good, even if you're just punching like mittens or something, just anything. Because anything that you're doing, you're not shoving donuts in your mouth, right? That's that's
And
what.
and I think it also feeds one of the same reason it's totally natural for us to eat, two pizzas, because there was only two there. I think the same thing is it's natural to want to. What I'm trying to say is humans are a pack animal,
Mm, true.
right? So we hunt like coyotes. There's a bunch of us that go together, even if that bunch is only two. But I would go, going with you, right? That was our little pack, And I'm sure if Joseph wanted to come, we would bring him.
Yeah, but he wouldn't. That Joseph. But yeah,
Irregardless.
I think I think wherever you start, you have to like be honest with yourself about how much energy you're expending in a day and plan accordingly. Because when I looked online, it said I need 2,700 calories a day. I do not need 2,700 calories a day. I
To
don't.
maintain 300 pounds, to maintain 207. It's always been take your calories times 10,
Mm,
and that's whatever your goal weight is times 10. That's how many calories you should have in a day. It's been that way forever.
right. But because I don't do anything, I if I like ate that much, I would still probably gain weight, especially
Yeah.
where my blood sugar and insulin was, because
But we were talking
all keep
about, I was talking about how complex the body is. And
yeah.
that book that I read, they followed some people after The Biggest Loser, and what they concluded from studies of a lot of different people, and the Biggest Loser study was another confirmation of that, is that your body, I think it's called a set point, your body decides that you're going to be at this weight. And if you eat too much, then it slows down a bunch of systems. Or if you eat too little, it slows down a bunch of systems so that you can't lose the weight, right? It's like, oh, I'm not getting enough food. Great. I'm going to shut that system down. I'm going to shut this system, that system's going to go 20%. And it's crazy what the body does. It decides it wants you to weigh X, and it's going to do everything it can, manipulating the systems to maintain what it decided arbitrarily Dan should weigh. And that's bullshit. Nobody, hey, I want to weigh 150.
Yeah, not up to you. It's a genetic predisposition. But can you circumvent that? Yes. But it's not easy, and it's unpleasant. Because if you starve a person, and they did studies where they starved people, and guess what? They starved. So their body probably was like, "Hey, you're not going below 160," but they weren't getting any food. So they starved. Like your body at some point is just like, "I'm going to eat all the muscle I can." And then at some point we're just going to starve because your body just can't do it anymore. And
Right.
that's what how you break it, but that's unpleasant. That's very
It's
unpleasant.
very unpleasant to when I was told to cut 500 calories a day. I went and told my buddy. He goes, "Dude, try 250."
Yeah.
And I
No,
tried. So I
try it.
cut out. I cut my oatmeal in half. That was like 180, and I went from regular ranch dressing to light ranch, which that was like 50% less. And so as an average, that was 250 less, but I haven't lost a pound. She's the nutritionist. The expert said 500. I didn't do that. I did 250, and I didn't lose weight. Had I done the 500, I probably would have lost weight.
So like as far as an example of why they I think I'm hearing this a lot more about why exercise is not helpful for fat loss, even though it's not entirely accurate. But this is where they get that from. You cut your oatmeal
Wait,
in
wait,
half.
wait, wait. Are you disputing this?
I'm not disputing it. I'm saying it has
Sounds like
other
you are,
benefits.
because if you were disputing it, you would be wrong. The
I'm
science, the science is in
I'm going to get to the point. Relax. So you cut your oatmeal in half. How many calories did that save you?
180 to
Right.
190.
And so before, when I was gaining all this weight, I was riding my bike for 20 minutes a day. Do you know how many calories that burns? You being on a treadmill or like a monkey or, that is not going to do anything against the tons of calories you're taking in every day. And that's not I think you're absolutely right that the workout industry has made it like do some crunches and you'll lose your belly fat. That is absolutely wrong. That is that's absolutely wrong. Because if you're eating 5 pizzas, I don't care how many crunches you do. A third of that pizza has way more calories than you sweating doing. Let's say you can do 50 crunches. There's no way you're going to burn any of that off, right? It's just you just can't. It's a numbers game. You're going to fail that number. But but having said that, having real muscle mass does help with not just maintenance later, but to sometimes break that when everybody says the word plateau like this, you know, boogeyman word. HGH, human growth hormone, can help you get past these plateaus, because your body, like when you work out and you tear your muscle and your body has to build it, what does it use to do that? Energy. And so you need protein to do that. So you have to have been eating enough protein, right? But if you're and that thing that everyone says plateau is this dangerous bad word. It's not a bad word. And a lot of people like on these YouTube videos are like, you've damaged your metabolism. No, you haven't. You can't damage it. It's not damageable. That's what the body does because it's in survival mode. It's not trying to, and we think it's trying to screw us because we don't like it. And I don't like it either. But it's trying to do you a favor because it thinks you're going to fail hunting tomorrow. If that's the mentality of your body, you have to play along in a way, right? So you have to give it something else to worry about. So if it has to worry about making muscle, if it has to worry about torn muscle that it has to fix and make larger, because that's the other thing what your body does. You gain muscle because you've damaged the muscle. And that you could see it as bad too, but it isn't. But you could see it as bad. But like HGH, human growth hormone, is very important to break that plateau. And all the stuff that I've seen and the dumb 3 measly books I've read, but that's sort of why I'm trying to work out. But real HGH is made only 2 ways. One, by lifting actual weights until you tear something, right? Actual working out with heavy weights, which I can't do in my current state, or cardio. So cardio, there's 3 kinds of cardio. There's aerobic or whatever, aerobic, where you can breathe, has the word air in it. Like walking, I can still have a conversation with you while we're walking. That's a form of cardio. There's the anaerobic, which is running or doing something so strenuous you can't talk. And then there's high interval training. High interval training is the only one of those 3 that will produce HGH from your body. It's the only one. The other 2 don't. Now, walking is not bad because, again, it gets your heart rate up, it gets you started up on or whatever. It's really good to do in the morning. But cardio doesn't do any of it, and it only burns a mediocre amount of calories. And if anything, it's going to hurt you, because if you're running around, you're just going to tear up your knees for no reason. But and I think when, like, especially you brought up the thing about as I watched the YouTube thing on they were following the Biggest Loser people for 6 or 8 months after. All of them gained twice their weight back because they had them on a 500 calorie a day restriction, 500, and they were making them do cardio. And so their bodies got used to 500. Their bodies was like, okay, 500 is what it is. And then when they got out of it, they ate like one sandwich, lunch, which is 850, 900 calories. That's twice what they need. And if they ate again, that's all fat, right? So they gained twice the weight in 9 months, which is what happens, which I totally agree. Like, if people who restrict really heavily on calories, people who do a lot of really long fasts, that is going to make your body use less calories. It's just going to. So then how do you get out of that? Just eat what? Eat a Snickers bar and you gain 1,700 pounds? Because that's what happens. If your body's used to 500, 600 calories a day and you stop doing that, it's all fat, right? I mean, it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I just go by the book that I read, and there's another guy that I watch, and that's how I found the guy with the book Burn that I sent you the link
Yeah.
to. I watched that guy on YouTube who's a research scientist. So he only puts out like a YouTube video once every 3 or 6 months because he doesn't give a shit. He's retired. He's really into the research rather than the clicks and the likes and the like. So how many calories you burn versus how many calories you eat, right?
Yeah.
It's just not accurate. It's not a good barometer for weight loss and
It,
health.
I don't think it is either unless you start at a really bad place like I did, or where with
But I
very
think you would lose all the weight that you lost now if you were if you were in bed, you would have lost the same amount of weight. I think the exercise had little to do with it. But Boney, the exercise is imperative to your overall health and fighting off disease.
well, yeah. First of all, anything more than 15 days of bed rest, your heart shrinks. It's a muscle. That's why nobody prescribes 15 more than 15 days of bed rest to anybody. That's why people, when you go into space, they're always on a treadmill,
When I
because
had my hip replaced, the guy was like, they wanted me up and moving around day one, but
yeah, me
that
too,
didn't happen. That
me
didn't
too.
happen because there was complications and stuff.
Because
So I
your
had to,
heart doesn't have to work as hard when you're in that position. So like for me, walking around the block, it's not a small block, but it's unpleasant. But I do it every day because I want to. And yes, I see what you're saying with the it wouldn't have made any difference because I am basically eating chicken, broccoli, shut the fuck up, and I'm doing the 8 hour eat and 16 hours not eat thing, which has worked like gangbusters. Um, However, I don't want to lose muscle mass. And for me, it's important to keep muscle mass, especially on my legs, because I have implants. So I do the squat thing. I do, I have to do all that stuff. I have to do it. And I'm not doing it to keep, to help with the losing weight. I'm doing it so that I could stand upright after this is over because I
which
won't
is
be able to.
yeah, it's like, I when I was getting my hip replacement, I asked the doctor, about different activities, and I said, "Listen here, doc." I said, "A win, like a bullseye for me, would be if I was able to walk 18 holes of golf like I did when I was in my 30s." And you know what? Now when I go play golf, I don't take a cart, I walk.
I mean, I think he would high five himself.
Oh, he did. He was so happy to hear it.
He would high five
And
himself.
and and I'm very pleased with the result. I'm really glad I did it.
Well, I mean, that stabbing pain in my hips isn't there anymore.
That's one of the things I'm really glad to not have anymore.
It was very unpleasant. It's like torture. Like every time you do anything, it's
Every day.
yeah. I had it since I was 32 and I did the surgery at 48. So I lived with it for a long time. And towards the end, I was going kind of cuckoo bananas because it's like shocking yourself every day, like 1,000 times. And after a while, it just starts messing with your mind because it's basically torture, never ending torture. And
It is.
I would have told anyone where the microfilm was. I would have told them like anything they wanted to know if they would just make the torture stop. But no one would listen. But yeah, at some point, and but that's what they always say though. Have the surgery where you just can't when you can't anymore. And they're right because surgery has obviously unexpected side effects and consequences, and sometimes it doesn't. But you have an artificial hip, so if you weigh a certain amount, it will fail sooner. So you also have I mean, even though you'll just spin like a top before you fall, I have both, so I'm just gonna flop down like a fish and just
Like one of those things at the car wash.
yeah, yeah. You're gonna give away some great deals, and then you're gonna hit the ground, and then if there's no one to pick you up, you have to crawl to a phone or hit your life alert, right? Because what else can you do? Like if that happened to me here, like the smell would happen, and if I had a cat or a dog, it would eat my nose and ears, right? Because I
I
wouldn't
would
be
eat
able
your
to
nose and ears. You don't even
get
have to be dead.
they're delicious. But I that's like the only way out if I break if both my implants fail, what am I gonna do? I'm like a slug in extreme pain, crawling around for assistance. And if I weighed 400 pounds, which might have happened eventually, and that happened, wowzers. Just wowzers.
Fuck.
So yeah. So I have tallied our votes, and feel free to write in the comments section who you think is never right in this episode. Yeah, it's like 9 o'clock. I want to order a couple pizzas and eat both of them.
You're never right.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you want more content from the Never Right podcast.